Welcome back, chapter 38. So, in answer to your question, Dana said, "That's why I don't see my father." She turned onto her side to face Gil. Light filled her bedroom, but by now the strongest rays the room received in the morning had faded. In another half hour it would be noon. Gil had an off-site meeting at 9, and when it ended he came directly to her place. This private time with him gave Dana the only outlet she had, and it thrilled her to know they still had another hour and a half to be together before he had to return to the bank. It meant working later in the evening than she preferred, but the opportunity to be with Gil made it worth it. "Wow," Gil said. "I can't imagine saying that to Vanessa. I can't argue that if I had to lose one of them, I'd rather it be Irene. But it's not something I would say out loud to either of them. Some feelings are so painful to admit that you never want to share them." He positioned his arm so that his hand rested on her shoulders. "So what happens now? Do you think you'll ever talk to him again?" "It's not like we don't talk, Gil. We just haven't had much of a relationship since that day. I know from the therapy I've had that he's ashamed that I heard him say he wished I'd been the one who died. But he never come to me and apologized, never acknowledged that he spoke out of grief. Nothing. I can't tell you how much that hurts. He'd rather let me out of his life completely than admit he was wrong. Maybe he's too embarrassed or ashamed to bring it up. Have you thought about calling him or going to see him to talk about it? That was 20 some years ago, Dana. He's got to be well into his 60s by now. You'll never get those years back, whether you make it up or not." Dana made a face. "Quite honestly, Gil, I've learned to live with it. Besides, he had a perfect opportunity to reach out to me when Kenny died." She blinked, aware that she said died, not accident. This made the third time. She said it to Cece, then to the officer who investigated her slashed tires, and now to Gil. Her subconscious had finally accepted Kenny's death. "But he didn't," she continued. "He came to the funeral, expressed condolences, and I haven't heard from him since. Unless you count the Christmas card he sent, and that was written out by his wife. So I don't think that counts. I guess I can't blame you, but let me ask you this. How would you feel if you learned today that he had died?" "I'd take Brittany and go to the funeral, and then that chapter of my life would be closed for good." Gil's arm tightened around her. "Dana, you might deny this, but I can tell you're still hurting." "Damn right it still hurts. It'll always hurt. But like I said before, I've learned to live with it. He obviously isn't going to have any change of heart." They lay quietly for a few moments, and then Gil said, "I'd like to be back at the office by 1:30. What say we get dressed? I'll take you to get something to eat." "Sure, just give me a minute. I'm way too comfy to just hop up and start getting dressed," she yawned. "Excuse me." "You've had no more problems with vandalism?" She shook her head. "Everything has been fine. The clients reissued the check. The motion detectors only came on once because a stray cat wandered near the house." She paused. "I still feel guilty for letting you loan me the money to pay the electricians for installing the lights. I have a credit card, but it's hard for me to bring myself to use it. Kenny and I never charged anything unless we absolutely had to, and then we paid the bill as soon as it came. It's always in the back of my mind that if I've been saddled with credit card debt on top of my living expenses, I never would have made it on my own. I'm terrified of spending money I don't have." "Don't feel guilty, Dana. That's a good policy to follow. It wasn't so much the cost of the lights themselves as the labor cost. I promise I'll pay you back when I get my next paycheck." "I told you before, Dana, don't worry about it. It's important to me that you and Brittany are safe. In fact, you might want to consider getting an alarm system. Monitoring fees are only about $25 a month, and the bigger companies will do a free installation if you sign a 2-year contract." Well, we'll see what happens after I get my split of CDN's earnings next June. She rolled over on her back and stretched her body from the tips of her raised fingers to her toes. I'm just relieved that my troubles seem to have stopped. I think I put the fear of God into Irene. She put on a brave front, claimed to be innocent, but she couldn't hide her emotions. A reaction of a second duration was sufficient to give her away. That's wonderful, Gil. Do you think she'll just give up? I like to think so, but I'm not sure. In the meantime, let's continue doing what we've been doing. I don't want us to be out together at night unless I can bring you home. Oh, Gil. Her shoulders slumped with disappointment. I feel like we're still at Irene's mercy. Just hold on a little longer. I've got a plan to put a stop to this as well. He playfully slapped her butt. Okay, that's enough relaxing. Let's get some lunch. And that's the end of chapter 38. Do I got anything to say about this chapter? I do. And he's right. Dana is still hurt by her dad's actions, and perhaps if she do reach out to him and talk to him about it, and maybe it can help heal her a little bit, because sometimes people know they're wrong, but something in them stops them from admitting it and doing right. But if somebody came to them on a respectful way and not blaming them or, pointing fingers and stuff like that, it'll ease up and they will be able to express, that they were wrong and explain why they said or did what they did. So I'm with Gil. I think she should talk to her father to get some answers as to why he said that. And she already know it was in grief, but why did he say that specifically? Okay, so that's all I think I have to say about this chapter. They still seeing each other, and Irene is still crazy. We'll find out if she real cray-cray. So see you in the next chapter. Bye.